Damian Cole burst through the doors of the Grand Meridian Hotel ballroom like a man chasing a ghost. The moment he stepped inside, applause erupted, not for him, but for the woman standing on the elevated stage beneath the warm golden lights. Lana Brooks. His wife. But this wasn't the shy, quiet woman he had married months ago. She stood tall, confident, speaking into the microphone with a calm authority that instantly commanded the room. Her voice carried effortlessly as she addressed a crowd of business leaders, celebrities, and philanthropists. "Every woman deserves an opportunity to rise," Lana said, her gaze sweeping across the hall. "And sometimes, all they need is for someone to believe in them." The audience erupted in admiration. Damian's breath caught. His heart hammered with a mix of awe and panic. He whispered, "That's Lana?" Behind him, a familiar mocking voice said, "Bro, that is your wife? She wasn't like that when you married her." Damian clenched his jaw as his so-called friend Bryce smirked, reminding him of everything he'd destroyed. That was all the story the viewers needed to be thrown straight into the chaos. But reality? That chaos had started months earlier. It had begun at a private rooftop lounge, where Damian and his usual circle of wealthy heirs drank expensive champagne and competed to outdo each other with reckless behavior. The night was loud, filled with laughter that didn't reach anyone's eyes. Damian had always played along, even when it made him feel hollow. Bryce leaned back on the couch, swirling his drink. "You know what your problem is, Damian? You only date supermodels. Try something real for once." Damian rolled his eyes. "Real? Please. I'm not desperate." "Exactly," Bryce said. "You're predictable. You always pick the perfect girl, rich, polished, camera-ready. I bet you couldn't marry someone outside your little billionaire bubble." Their friends laughed. Damian scoffed. "Of course I could. I just don't want to." Bryce raised an eyebrow. $10 million says you can't marry someone ordinary. Someone down to earth. Someone not obsessed with luxury." Damian paused. 10 million wasn't the issue, his ego was. "Pick someone then," he said. Bryce grinned like a wolf. "There's a girl who volunteers at my mom's community center. Sweet. Quiet. Smart. Doesn't care about wealth. Lana Brooks." Damian shrugged. "Fine. I'll meet her. And marry her," Bryce added. Within 2 months. Their friends erupted in cheers, clinking glasses recklessly. Damian smirked, masking the pang of doubt twisting inside him. Deal. That one word sealed Lana's fate. He met her the next week, under the pretense of donating supplies to the community center. Lana was sorting books in a corner, wearing a simple outfit and a gentle smile. Her presence felt peaceful, almost too pure for someone like him. "Hi," she said softly, brushing hair away from her face. "You're Damian Cole, right? Thank you for coming. Most wealthy donors just send assistants." Her sincerity caught him off guard. "I wanted to be here," he lied. She smiled again, and it warmed him in a way he didn't expect. Over the next few weeks, Damian showed up frequently, bringing lunch, helping with events, inventing excuses to see her. Lana, who had never experienced such attention, welcomed his presence. His charm disarmed her, his interest made her blush. Every conversation felt easy, gentle. One afternoon, she laughed so hard she had to hold her stomach. Damian stared at her, stunned by how genuine she was. So unfiltered. So different from anyone he'd dated. He didn't deserve someone like her. But he pushed that thought aside. 2 months later, he proposed on the same rooftop where the bet had started. Lana said yes with tears in her eyes, believing she'd found a man who saw beyond wealth. Damian forced a smile as he slipped the ring on her finger. Deep down, something twisted painfully, guilt, regret, something he refused to name. Married life began quietly. Lana tried to bring warmth into the enormous mansion, decorating little corners with thoughtful touches, leaving handwritten notes for Damian, making breakfast when he forgot to eat. But cracks formed quickly. Damian was distant. Distracted. Uneasy. When Lana reached for his hand at a formal dinner, he pulled away before the cameras saw. When she introduced herself to his friends, they whispered behind her back. Where did he get her from? She's not billionaire wife material. Is this a joke? Lana felt the sting but smiled through it. They don't know me yet, she told herself. But it wasn't the friends who hurt her most, it was Damian's coldness. One night, she waited for him to come home like always, sitting on the couch with dinner untouched. When he finally walked through the door, she stood. Damian, did I do something wrong? Her voice shook. You barely talk to me anymore. He avoided her eyes. I'm tired. Long day. Every day is a long day, she whispered. He didn't respond. He just went upstairs. Lana stood alone in the dim living room, a sinking feeling spreading through her chest, but the truth revealed itself in the cruelest way possible. Lana had gone downstairs to look for Damian one evening, worried he was upset. She froze on the staircase when she heard voices in the living room below. Bryce's voice echoed clearly. So, Damon, you've been married 2 months now? When are you collecting the 10 million? Lana's fingers tightened on the railing. Damian hissed, keep your voice down. Oh relax, she's not here, Bryce chuckled. I can't believe you pulled it off. Marrying her for a bet, genius. Lana felt the world slip out from beneath her. Every beat of her heart sounded like a scream. She pressed her hand to her mouth, tears already stinging her eyes. Damian responded quietly, it's more complicated than that now. Complicated? Bryce laughed. It's just a bet. Don't start catching feelings. Lana's soul fractured. On that staircase. She climbed back up silently, tears slipping down her cheeks, her breath trembling. She didn't confront him. Not yet. Something inside her had shifted, and that shift was her beginning. The next morning, Lana didn't cry. She woke with swollen eyes but a sharp clarity. She looked at herself in the mirror, noticing not her appearance, but her posture, her spirit, her hesitation. Where had her confidence gone? Where had her dreams gone? She whispered to her reflection, he used me. But he won't define me. From that day on, she rebuilt herself piece by piece. She enrolled in a leadership program she had once been too shy to join. She attended networking events alone. She learned how to speak with strength instead of softness. She began styling herself in ways that made her feel fearless, not invisible. She read books on communication, business, advocacy. She discovered how much she had suppressed. Damian noticed everything. One morning, she walked downstairs dressed sharply, carrying documents. Where are you going? He asked. To work, she replied simply. At this hour? Yes. She smiled politely but distantly. I have a meeting. Since when do you run meetings? Since I stopped waiting for other people to validate me. Damian swallowed hard. Lana. She was already gone, her glow, internal and external, became impossible to ignore. At events, people gravitated toward her. She spoke with conviction, confidence blooming with every speech she gave. She created a women's mentorship initiative that quickly gained attention. Journalists began requesting interviews. Meanwhile, Damian watched from a distance, fascinated, intimidated, confused. The woman he had underestimated was becoming someone powerful, someone impossible to look away from. He began waiting for her to return home. He asked if they could talk. She gave polite answers but kept emotional walls high. One night, unable to hold back, he approached her in the hallway. Lana, why are you avoiding me? She looked at him calmly. I'm not avoiding you. I'm focusing on myself. Damian stepped closer. Did I do something wrong? Everything in her wanted to scream the truth, but she steadied herself. Damian, she said softly but firmly, you don't get to pretend nothing happened. He froze. She walked past him. His heart sunk with the weight of everything unspoken. The breaking point came at a major business launch hosted by one of Damian's associates. Lana was invited as a guest speaker due to her rising reputation. Damian attended to support her, but Bryce also showed up, waiting for his chance to stir chaos. During the event, Lana delivered a confident speech about empowerment and resilience. The crowd applauded loudly. Damian watched her with pride he couldn't hide anymore. But Bryce stepped forward with a microphone and a smirk. "Funny," he said loudly, coming from someone who doesn't even know her own marriage started as a bet. The room went silent. Lana's heart dropped. Damian's face drained of color. "Bryce, stop." But Bryce continued. "Oh, come on. Everyone knows Damian married her to win a $10 million challenge. Don't act like it's a secret." Gasps filled the room. Cameras flashed. People murmured in horror. Lana's eyes met Damian's. Pain, deep and raw, flashed across her face. "Lana, listen," Damian said, stepping toward her. "It's not what you think." She raised a hand, silencing him. Her voice trembled but remained calm. "I transformed for myself. Not for a man. And definitely not for a bet." She walked out as reporters swarmed behind her and Damian stumbled after her helplessly. The fallout was brutal for Damian. The media dragged his name through the mud. All his business partners demanded explanations. Even his own family scolded him. He lost friends, but they weren't really friends to begin with. He cut Bryce off permanently, almost punching him the last time they spoke. Days passed with no word from Lana. For the first time in his life, Damian felt powerless. Without her, everything felt empty. One night, he drove to the community center where they'd first met. Lana was there, sorting donation boxes just as she had months ago. "Lana," he said, voice trembling. She didn't look up. "If you came to apologize because your reputation is damaged, save it. That's not why I'm here." He approached slowly. "I was wrong. I was stupid. I hurt you, and I hate myself for it. The bet. I never should have agreed. And I swear, I never took the money." She stiffened but kept sorting. He exhaled shakily. "I fell for you long before I understood what I was feeling. And I ruined everything." Finally, Lana turned to him. Her eyes were sad but strong. "Do you know what hurt the most?" He swallowed. "That I lied to you?" "No," she said softly. "That you let other people define what I was worth to you." Damian felt that like a knife. "I want to fix this," he whispered. She looked at him for a long moment. "You can fix yourself. That's all." Then she walked away. Damian didn't follow. He knew forcing her would only break her trust further. Weeks passed. Lana's initiative grew into a full foundation. Invitations poured in. And then came the Grand Meridian Gala, the one that replayed their story from the beginning. Lana had become a woman who inspired thousands. Damian attended, unsure if she'd even acknowledge him. After her speech, she stepped off stage and found him standing nearby. He seemed smaller than she remembered, not physically, but emotionally. "Truly humbled, your speech was beautiful," he said quietly. "Thank you," she replied. "I cut ties with everyone involved in the bet," he added. "And I donated $10 million, not to claim anything, but to fund your foundation fully." Her eyes widened. "You didn't have to do that." "I know. But for once. I wanted to do the right thing without expecting anything in return." Lana breathed deeply. "Damian, I don't know if I can ever go back to how things were." "That's okay," he said. "I don't want things the way they were either. I want better. Even if better means you moving on from me." She looked at him, really looked at him, for the first time in months. The whisper of a smile touched her lips. "We'll see." Damian nodded, accepting the uncertainty. For the first time, he let her walk away without chasing her. Because love, he realized, wasn't possession. It was respect. But as she glanced back at him briefly, hope flickered in his chest. Their story wasn't over. Not completely. And whether they rebuilt as friends, partners, or strangers with a shared past, one thing was certain. The woman he married for a bet had transformed far beyond anything he could have imagined, and so had he. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more powerful billionaire stories filled with drama, emotion, and unforgettable twists. Your support helps bring more stories to life. Don't miss the next one.